nerfed in patch 10.6, so it is actually a good pick. It's not great peel, which is why it's a little strange to see with Aphelios, but I think we should be seeing more Bard.
All right, Bard's picked up. The response from CLG, they pick up the Rek'Sai and they pick up the Jayce.
You do you, CLG.
You do, yeah. So what I'm looking at when I see this,
it's actually more poke, right?
They started off by picking Rumble, who is an insane team fighter and provides a lot of AoE and just, you know, zone control and all of this. And then they have Rek'Sai and Jayce, which if they fall behind, they're both completely worthless. And Varus is a champion that we're seeing mostly played for poke, so he's not going to be the greatest team fighter either. So the CLG draft just kind of seems helter-skelter to me. Yasuo, the final pick here for Cloud9. Once again, bringing the Gragas Yasuo combo to the table. We saw them play this yesterday. A big combo coming out from those two specifically is what ended the game. And they're going to put some more practice on it here today as well.
Yeah, the way I look at these comps, Captain Flowers, is it's poke versus hard engage. Jayce, Rumble, Lethality, Varus, very pokey with the Tahm Kench to try and peel. And then you'll have the solo lanes both being melee for Cloud9. Yeah. It actually looks a lot more like a 2019 summer Cloud9 when Sven was making his MVP push of just like, let's try and 1-3-1 as much as possible and get flanks. Looking pretty advantaged to Cloud9 to me, unless they get demolished in the laning phase by Jayce and Varus.
Well, the picks are locked in, and once again, we will be heading into a break. That's 5 minutes for competitive integrity. Once we're back, we're going to be casting the game right in front of your very eyes, so don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are for Game 2, Day 2, Week 8 of the LCS. We have had to take a 5-minute break to preserve competitive integrity, but we're about to hop into Summoner's Rift here yet again. It's Cloud9 versus CLG. Both teams have solidified their positions in the end of regular split standings already. CLG mathematically eliminated from playoffs. Cloud9 already clinching that first seed with their impressive 14-1 record. And during the break, Jatt and I were having a little discussion, and he said he wanted to talk about this when we got in game. I said I don't like CLG's draft at all. I think NA Jayce has a reputation that speaks for itself. I think Rek'Sai falls off a cliff post 25 minutes. I think this is a 22-minute game. And Jatt said that's way too fast. So,
well,
let's just...
Yeah, the shortest game of the split, I cheated. You told me your argument, and I didn't tell you mine. So,
okay.
Shortest game of the split was CLG versus Team Liquid, 23.5 minutes. The last time these two teams played, it was 26.5 minutes. So I just think 22 minutes is too fast. That's actually the whole bit of my
allow me to math your math, my friend. If TL beat them in 23.5 and Cloud9 is better than TL, then Cloud9 can beat them faster. This is simple arithmetic, dear Watson.
They can. Here's another issue. I found the origins of the Bard Aphelios.
Okay.
It was 17 hours ago in solo queue with Vulcan.
17? Yeah. I thought you were going to give me something that's like some ancient, unspoken, like dark magics that were released as soon as Aphelios came out, and there's like a one-trick duo queue that's been spamming this that was now discovered, but no, 17 hours ago it's solo queue. All right.
Well, they played it. Vulcan was Electrocute Bard. He went 1-7 and they lost. So he switched to the more defensive Guardian Bard, which I think is better. And we're gonna see how it plays out.
All right, let's see how it goes. We got Blaber starting in his on his top side jungle here. We've got Wiggily going into Blaber's jungle too. He wants to go ahead and just grab himself some Krugs here.
Yeah, it looks like we have a bit of a vertical jungle with the early invade, and Rek'Sai, knowing he has the Jayce ranged advantage at level 1, wants to keep a lot of pressure on this top side. It also means that Zven and Vulcan will be able to push up on bot side, but like the early Rumble and the early Jayce give a ton of pressure with which Wiggily can use to invade.
Wiggily on this Rek'Sai, feeling good. He was able to steal the red buff away from Blaber at the very start, so that's a good denial early on away from this Gragas. Rek'Sai's strongest at the beginning of the game. Whenever a player or a team drafts his champion, I want to see them make moves early on. starting off with a buff steal is always a nice way to do that, as Licorice goes in, lands himself a stun onto Ruin, and then right back out. Just wants to make sure he gets that damage wherever he can find it. Doesn't just let Jayce run the lane here, as Wiggily is going to tunnel through the mid lane. Not too worried about it just yet, because he's not exactly giving his position away. The wave is pretty far pushed up. The biggest thing he's worried about is stopping Blaber from doing a counter steal on his own red.
And it looks like Blaber actually got out of the range of the Tremor Sense. And if we're just counting camps, right, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 right now for Blaber, and 1, 2, 3 on the 4th for Wiggily. So Blaber is, even though he's red buffless, camp ahead right now. So the counter jungling hasn't yet affected him, aside from the fact that he doesn't have a red buff.
Crabs available as well. Wiggily going for the top side one, Blaber going for the bottom side one. It means that Blaber's not going to be denied a Scuttle Crab by this early pathing. Wiggly's deciding to head right back into the enemy jungle because he wants to grab these chickens on respawn. Doesn't look like he'll stick around to get
He should have the timer now that he's seen them. He should know that they're up, but the Scuttle seems to be higher priority. I wish he would have actually stuck around to take those raptors, because now Blaber has
something to farm.
Smooth farm path wherever he goes next, especially when he bases for his Predator boots.
Right, needs to get back, make sure he grabs the boots so that he actually, you know, has a keystone. And you can see that picked up there, along with the amplifying tome. And Wiggily just heads back onto his own side of the jungle. And I think that's interesting when we talk about when a player steals a buff early on and how much it actually helps them. Because if you steal the buff, but then your opponent manages to just clear what's left and get a gank, they're really not behind. Because the extra time it takes you to hoof it over to the other side of the map and then come back with your buff if you're not actually making any plays, the only way that it gets you ahead is if your opponent clears through the rest of his jungle, then doesn't have a gank to make, and so now he just has less overall resources available. That's when you get ahead. If he can find an opportunity in between then, it actually doesn't do a lot.
Yeah, I still need to do more testing on this, as it looks like Ruin's just trying to shove this into turret. Hopefully we don't miss the first gank of the game, but I've been doing a few jungle paths that are like skipping my buffs on the first route. I don't necessarily know if it would be pro-viable because they're way too good at tracking junglers, but when the small camps have respawns of 120 seconds, which is just so fast, being able to cycle those can actually get you to level 6 before the other jungler, who's spending time in between his, I call it cycling, just going back to base and kind of farming camps on respawn.
Right.
If your second clear is going to be faster after your first base, if you can pick up the second jungle item component. So I've had a few routes that are like, I'll do like Wolves, Raptors, Krugs base. Then I'm level 3, I can buy my second jungle component, get a control ward, and then I'm there for the spawn of Scuttle. I don't have any buffs, so my combat power is lower.
Right.
But once I do clear my jungle a second time, I'm significantly ahead of the other guy in experience. So that's just kind of an example of why getting 3 buff doesn't really matter if you're not going to be doing PvP at all anyway. As you can see now, Blaber is 11 CS up and a level on Wiggily.
Yeah, that's the thing that I was most curious about in this was the Scuttle Crabs, right? Because without the buffs, you do lose the power to contest for those. So if the guy shows up at the same crab that you're at, you lose it. Now, granted, in solo queue, most of the time, everybody paths from bottom side to top side because bot side's more willing to leash you. So if you just go for the bottom side crab 4 out of 5 times, you're going to be fine anyway just by flipping that coin that way. But Cloud9 are now going to grab themselves an Infernal Drake. They'll pick up this nice early objective. Nobody's going for any kills just yet, so this will be the first thing really on the board to separate the teams here. And that's secured by contest.
I actually think you could try this on Skarner Flowers. So, like, let's say you're red side.
We used to do this.
If you just did,
had this conversation,
if you just did Wolves, Raptors, Krugs, and then base, you can take bottom Scuttle, and it's fine.
Back in Season 6, when I was best starter in A, the path that I would do, I would start every game off by saying, I will be level 6 at 602 with red buff, flash, and ulti. If you ask me to gank before then, I am muting you. And I would clear through my whole jungle. Not
Blaber.
Blaber's gonna be jumped on though. Buffs or not, the man's in trouble. Smoothie's coming around. He's got the lick. He's got the stick. Can they get the kick? Yes, they will. The first blood over to Pobelter.
I knew we were going to get tangent in jungle and miss first blood, so I apologize for those viewers. Basically, what happened is CLG did the repeat on Blaber's red buff, which did catch him a little unawares, and honestly, these solo lanes by C9 have a really hard time establishing push, like Licorice against the Jayce and even the Yasuo against the Rumble, so it's really dangerous for Blaber to go up here. You can see he's clearing vision. They have the Tremor Sense. Pobelter just waits, and it is pretty well executed, right? They get the flash knockup. It doesn't matter that he's able to flash away because Smoothie's also made a roam, and they pick up that first blood. Good start for CLG.
CLG getting the first blood on Cloud9, getting themselves an over 1,000 gold lead. But the strategy you were talking about, by the way, before the first blood broke out, that's what I used to do in Season 6. It works less effectively if you're up against somebody that's going to invade you like a Lee Sin or an Udyr, but you clear the entire jungle, no buffs, then come back, clear the entire jungle with buffs again. You would have level 6 with flash, ult, and red buff as Skarner at 6 minutes and 2 seconds. You flash ult the mid laner when he's still level 5, he dies, he gets mad at his own jungler, and then you take the Drake and you win. It's the freest League of Legends you could ever play. And then they nerfed it and you couldn't do it anymore, and I was so sad in Season 7. Blaber's making a play on the bottom side, though. He knocks Stixxay back. Follow-up damage coming through, and Stixxay is just exploded. Nothing Smoothie can do to save him.
The lane bullying of Vulcan and Zven has actually been kind of out of control this game. Look how they've accrued an already 20 CS advantage. They burned the Devour with the Bard ultimate just to set up Blaber coming in with his Predator boots. That was really smooth by C9 to pick up that kill.
C9, not one to be asleep at the wheel, making sure that CLG aren't the only team on the board here. Catching up there and making it so now Pobelter once again has to come back and answer the mid lane as Nisqy pushes that out. He'll rotate up into this topside river to make sure Blaber doesn't get collapsed upon as they take the Rift here.
Just like that, C9, normal first Drake control, normal first Herald control. Dicey 1v1 though.
Here we go. Licorice takes it down. There you go. When Jayce is not winning lane, it's a bad sign, man. This is what I'm talking about with Jayce. I just this is Jayce.
Yep. I felt like Ruin was going to be able to win this 1v1. He's such a high elo solo queue player. I think he's currently at rank 6, has been rank 1 throughout the year, knows the lane dominant style, knows how to snowball these games, but in this case just gets all in by Licorice, burns his flash, and dies. That's just the worst case scenario in terms of keeping together an early game snowball into a poke-out.
Ruin behind on the Jayce now with his opponent also rushing the Blade of the Ruin King. Like, the Blade of the Ruin King buffs, we've seen so many more champions building this item now. And it's especially effective in matchups like this one because of the fact that it gives you that extra chase potential, that extra sticking potential on a target that normally wants to kite you out. So with Licorice rushing this item, it's going to make it very difficult for Ruin to keep him at range.
Yeah, and just so you know why we're paused, there is a problem in the future that we are just pausing to resolve. It looks like they're getting ready checks very soon, so we should be able to get out of here quickly. And I'm pulling up something about Jayce Flowers because I believe he has recently been changed to be just a little bit more of a scaler. So his early game isn't quite as oppressive. In 10-4, the base damage of his melee Q did go up with level. And in 10-1, the base damage of his Shock Blast went from 55 to 305 to 55 to 330. Remember, that's a 6-point ability, so it goes until level 11. So it still is something that is disastrous to die on, but I do think Jayce's scaling is improved. So it's not quite as dominant early into useless late as it used to be, and it's a little bit smoother. Still a big play by Licorice, and luckily we're back into the game.
Back into the game now as Licorice, I already commented, he's going for the Blade of the Ruin King. You can see the pieces of the lethality items being constructed there by Ruin. I'm assuming it's going to be a Ghost Blade, providing extra movement speed for him will be critical in trying to outplay those Blade of the Ruin King maneuvers that will come out from Licorice. Also worth one thing that I want to point out here that I didn't mention earlier. Cloud9 are running 2 exhausts on their composition. When they go into these fights, if anybody dives in on them, if the Jayce goes melee mode, if Rek'Sai comes in, even if Rumble's looking to get in there and just torch everybody with a flame spitter, there's going to be a lot of denial potential, and there's a lot of dive potential too, as Cloud9, they find themselves a kill onto Stixxay for the second time this game, and his life is just miserable in this bottom lane.
Is this Vulcan's Player of the Week campaign? I'll have to check on what he was playing in the game earlier this week, because this Bard Aphelios lane is out of control. Like, that was so smooth. The 2 kills they've had have just been so smooth with the way they've been able to get the cooldowns out and eventually get the kill.
Nisqy now going to find Smoothie waiting for him in that brush. And that means Pobelter and Licorice are getting into a 1v1, but over the wall comes Wiggily looking to bring down the damage, and Licorice is exploded. Wiggily gets away from the turret in time to prevent a return kill, and Ruin all the meanwhile just has the opportunity to slam this top lane turret. They will grab that one to equalize the turret count, nearly bring this gold back to even as well. But Vulcan and Zven, the Bard Aphelios combo, have made their way into the top lane. The damage comes down, the exhaust goes out, and Ruin goes home with a screen in black and white. That is the 4th kill of the game now for Cloud9, the 3rd that this bottom lane is responsible for.
The point-blank face slap stun into the minion by Vulcan. That was just hilarious to watch. Good job by Ruin, right? Like, he's had some moments in these games, you know, getting first turret. He had a bit of a comeback after falling behind early on Irelia against Dignitas, but ultimately you look up now and he's 0-2-0 on Jayce, and Zven's Aphelios and Vulcan's Bard are looking to run over this game.
They are doing so damn well for a pick that we were memeing on a little bit in Champion Select for being Bard, but Vulcan is doing a great job on it. Yeah, it's working fantastically, and I love to see that. I love a pick that when you're surprised to see it in Champion Select, it pops off when you get onto the Rift, because it shows that there's more things to be found than just what is accepted in the meta.
Yeah, and I'm glad he's doing Guardian as well. I know Omnistone is probably more fun, which is why it's the taken rune by a lot of people, and Electrocute is the burst thing, but Guardian is ultimately just the best thing. Your damage is good enough, and you actually have a large amount of shielding and healing when you're allowing your heals to kind of mature and also your guardians to go up. But Licorice,
Licorice gets exploded, but Blaber shows up just a little bit too late to save his teammate. He will get a return kill and force Ruin back. Blaber now walking up through the river. Let's see if he finds anybody waiting on him there, as Pobelter was chilling out in the brush. Drops down the equalizer, looks to go after Blaber. Stasis into a redemption. Vulcan goes trying to find a double stasis, but he won't be able to get it. He still manages to protect Blaber enough to keep him alive, and now he's trying to stay on top of Pobelter to provide the opportunity for Nisqy to go after the kill. Nisqy's like, all right, Bard, you're not coming, well, I'm going anyway. But instead, he'll just move down here to clear out the wave.
Maybe a 1/10 of a second away from just a godlike stasis timing by Vulcan. The travel time of your ult does change depending on how far away you are. Missed ult by Licorice, but they're still going.
Stixxay with the flash away to make sure that ulti doesn't connect, and Licorice may now be punished. Ruin over the wall has the damage, and that is Licorice's 3rd death this game. Things not going great for him here in the top side.
Yeah, when they can actually pull off flanks, the Irelia is going to be successful, but it is a bit of a hard life. Laning up against Jayce for most of the early game, you can see his CS has fallen a little bit behind, and it's been a little bit of an off game for him. I mean, for as dominant as Cloud9 is, I think yesterday was Blaber's off game.
Yeah.
At one point he was 0-3-1 or something.
There was a lot of deaths for him yesterday.
And it might be Licorice's off game right now.
I mean, better to get him out of your system now than when playoffs start up, but we'll see if he can clean it up here a little bit. Still working towards that Blade of the Ruin King. Has the Ninja Tabby in inventory. Very effective item against a Jayce Rek'Sai combo, as the two champions are going to be dealing with the most coming after you. Looking at the rest of the Cloud9 score lines, you've still got 2-0-1, the best score line for Zven here on the Aphelios. Has the Essence Reaver completed, working on that second item next. Across the board, Stixxay does have Yumu's Ghostblade plus the second Serrated Dirk in inventory, but he is lagging a bit behind in CS, and of course doesn't have the same kill money that his opponent possesses either. Next Drake is coming up in a little bit over 2 minutes. Cloud9 have secured the first 2 for themselves. And remember, it's Cloud Drake, which I think is or Cloud Soul, I should say, which I think is the one that has the most variance between champions for how much you should get out of it. And Aphelios can get some good use out of it. Bard can get, honestly, everybody on the Cloud9 squad can get some good use out of it. You don't have any champions that are going to be rooting themselves as they all.
Yeah, if CLG gets control of the game back and they're able to get it on Rumble, it's actually pretty devastating to Equalizer and then zoom to finish up burning people.
High-speed flamethrower.
It is interesting here, though, that CLG actually wrestled control of Rift Herald. It's really rare that C9 gives over any objectives, but the trade was actually to give Licorice a bunch of free farm on the bottom side, which for them, since he's one of their core initiators, probably worth it, as long as they're able to step up and contest the Rift Herald usage of CLG.
Yeah. Ruin forced to flash away there. Vulcan goes for the ulti to set up the pick, but nice summoner spell usage will deny that. And the point about Licorice is interesting too, because when we're talking about the new age builds with Blade of the Ruin King, remember they make you strong in a duel because lifesteal is very effective at combating damage over time. But in a team fight scenario where you can be instantly blown up by 5 people, not having the health of a Trinity Force does make you more squishy, more susceptible to that instant burst. So Licorice does need to make sure that he's not falling too far behind the general curve of the game in terms of his stat line, as the Rift Herald is summoned up here in the mid lane. This turret won't die from just a charge, so they will need a little bit follow-up damage here from Shelly. Takes it down to 20% HP or so, but that's all they'll get.
Yeah, pretty useless Rift, all things considered, not even breaking up mid, with Drake up in 43 seconds as well, so they can't even use the defense as a means to get to the Drake. Luckily, though, they haven't used Rumble Ultimate or Varus Ultimate. That's going to be CLG's big opportunity with this Cloud Drake spawning in 30 seconds. It might even be something that C9 just concedes. Kind of in a weird state in the game right now where Pobelter's Rumble is powered up, and I think C9's a little bit worried about trying to force this melee pile on top of a Rumble team because they might just get wiped.
He's got the double spell penetration. He's got the Haunting Guys working towards the Leandry's Torment to add the extra burn on top of the burn he's already doing. He's not in a bad spot at all. Pobelter, the savior of CLG here in 2020, trying to put yet another one on his back as CLG move towards that Drake. Again, the whole thing of Drake's, the first 2 don't really matter. It's all about getting the 3rd one because it gives you the win condition, and then the 4th one, of course, is the win condition. But Cloud9 are now coming in, and they are looking to contest it. Wiggily still staying in the pit just to make sure Blaber's not able to swoop in and steal it away, but that is exactly what's going to happen here and now. Licorice over the wall looking for the damage onto Pobelter, who's gobbled up there by Smoothie and kept safe. Cloud9 still continuing to look for a little bit more. Knockup comes through for Nisqy, but it's only onto Smoothie. He doesn't want to jump in and take that one since Wind Wall was already spent. Blaber's going to continue to chase forward, removing Ruin from the equation, chasing him back off towards the chickens, and C9 will bring themselves to Soul Point.
Wow, that is not how I expected that to play out.
Not at all.
No one dying, and the Cloud Drake just being given away by CLG. They were in position, they have the Rumble, they have the Varus, they're the ones that want to fight in the pit. It just seemed like they had no idea how to respond to the Bard ult, and they let Blaber just kind of walk into the pit.
I mean, Wiggily...
Stop watchless Gragas and take it for free.
Wiggily tried to hang around to smite fight it, but when Cloud9 just waltzed in and all of a sudden had control, he had no choice but to bail, right?
Yeah. That's how it plays out. I mean, I wanted to double back on one of your points about Blade of the Ruin King, because I do think it's pretty interesting how not only are they good for side lane duels, they have diminished effectiveness in team fights because it's current health damage.
Yeah.
So once everyone's low, they don't have finishing power, but hello.
Pobelter found out here in the top lane, almost bursted down. There we go. Nisqy's now trying to survive, but he won't be able to do it, and Blaber could be punished as well. Vulcan shows up, a very nice Bard ulti onto 2 of the 3, as Blaber's still going to be chased down by Stixxay. Zven has showed up. Can the bottom lane of C9 2v3 this? The exhaust finds its way onto Zven. Smoothie's going to use the Devour to keep Stixxay safe. Piercing arrow gets shot off, and Zven and Vulcan fall back. It's a 1-for-2. Cloud9 lose out on that trade.
Yeah, the Tahm Kench was really timely there from CLG, and it's kind of looking like the Cloud Soul is going to be a necessary part of C9's win condition here. How's that 22-minute win looking, Captain Flower?
All right, yeah. Yuck it up, yuck it up. Your results-based analysis is not welcome here.
Yes, I have much practice in this art.
Well, all right. I will concede you were the better predictor here today, my friend. I don't see any world where this ends in 2 minutes at this point in time. CLG have actually done quite a good job of keeping pace with Cloud9 here, 20 minutes into the game. Less than 1,000 gold behind the #1 team in the LCS. They got 2 turrets compared to Cloud9's 3. The big concern is that win condition Dragon Soul coming up in 2.5 minutes. Not quite an Ocean Soul, but still a permanent buff. It's going to add a lot of punch to this squad. Pobelter caught out yet again. This guy is the man that you got to look out for. This guy's the one that's keeping the team alive. He's the one who's going to get away. And Nisqy gets too aggressive and is punished. CLG collapse. Protect the president. Secret Service style. They get Pob out.
And the equalizer just shredded C9 as they moved in. The big thing there was Smoothie got the Devour off at basically the last possible second. And CLG, if you don't look at the Drakes, which are still a very, very important part of this game, are looking competitive here. And dude, how good has Pobelter been? Just, it does feel like when they win, it's often just Pobelter putting on the big backpack and taking them to victory. I actually think that if they had him from the start of the split, they would be in contention for playoffs. So by no means is CLG a free win for these teams that have to play them in the last 3 games of the split. And C9, they have to find a flank. Like, the fact that they haven't been able to get behind CLG to actually get onto the carries and instead are trying these face-forward initiations that get gobbled up by Tahm Kench makes it really, really hard for them.
Pobelter, it's hard to believe the guy wasn't on any team at the start of the split. Yeah. If there was ever an argument for him to make, he doesn't have to say a word. All he has to do is just link the VODs of the games that he's carried CLG and the performances that he's had on this team since being picked up by them in this second half of 2020. His performance speaks for itself. And it's really fun to see him do what he's been doing and try to just breathe life back into this team. Yes, it's too late for playoffs, but what Isaac was talking about on the analyst desk at the like before this started, where he said this team should reflect and think on, if they had Pobelter the entire time, would they be good enough to make playoffs? And if so, you have something to build from. They have a building block to work from now that is Pobelter. Whether or not you change the rest of the pieces, that's a different conversation, but this man has been showing.
All right, here comes Dragon Soul. CLG's got to fight this one. Bardal does have a chance to delay, but like again, C9 has no flank position. It's difficult for them to go straight forward.
Oh, Bardal misses, and that is CLG happy to see one of those big cooldowns expended for nothing. Now can they do anything with it? They are down less than 1,000 gold, so it's not like Cloud9 has a commanding lead here, but they do have control over the pit. Blaber takes a pretty big hit there. Nisqy not going to find anything with this knock-up. Turret is laid down by Zven. Equalizer comes through, and CLG have taken control of the river here for now. Cloud9 waiting on the Equalizer to disappear. That's a huge team fight mechanism down, but it's Cloud9 health bars that are more damaged, as it's going to be taken by Wiggily and CLG. Cloud9 now on the retreat, health bars taken low. Pobelter down to about 1/3, but Blaber may be caught. The damage won't be enough to find them, but good lord, man, CLG are not going down without a fight.
Clutch smite by Wiggily, and C9 all taking that magical journey prevents the wipe that could have happened afterwards, because the stopwatched Q from Pobelter's Rumble just did a bunch of damage. CLG, I thought maybe would try to turn for Baron after that, but in the meantime, you're seeing that if C9 doesn't get the right initiation, these fights are going to be real tough.
Wiggily is the same level as Licorice's Irelia. He's going for the fight here. He goes for the execution. He will lose the 1v1, but Ruin has showed up to clean this one up. Mop and bucket at the ready. He's stunned, but Stixxay is there as well. Hey, if one person can't do it, bring 2. If 2 men can't do it, by God, bring 3 of them.
Yeah. Nice attempt at the heroics by Licorice. Picking up the side lane kill, and now since they sent so many down, Smoothie's just trying to get vision control.
Smoothie walks up way too close to a brush that he might not have wanted to be near, but instead it's Zven who is shut down. Pobelter's artillery rings true as Nisqy swoops in. The knockup allows him to establish the last breath into the back lines of CLG. He'll throw Pobelter up into the air and slam him right back down into the ground. A triple kill for the Cloud9 mid laner as Ruin brings out the hammer. He brings down the slammer, and he's got the double onto Blaber.
This just turned into a game, Captain Flowers.
Woo!
Got something going on. Ruin is like at 2 health at the very end of that fight. So many close moments there as Pobelter was trying to burn people down. So watch this one more time. Yes, they burst Smoothie hard here, but watch Pobelter's Equalizer onto a rooted Aphelios. And then C9 says, you know what? I'm tired of this. Let's just go. Let's just all press the go button. And Nisqy's the one who flies in. The wind wall completely cuts off so much of the damage from Stixxay for most of this fight. And then he actually flashes for the kill. So Nisqy's off on one side, whereas Ruin's flashing on the other. And now that Nisqy actually picks up the triple kill, that's kind of the empowered diver that C9 needs. But you look at the gold, 200 difference. It's anyone's game.
This is not what I expected between number 1 and number 10. Turns out just having that extra 0 on your rankings doesn't mean a whole lot. Sometimes you just, if you got heart, it means a lot, Jatt. CLG got heart today. They're playing with spirit, man. And they are in a spot where they're taking it to Cloud9. They're putting up a great fight. Pobelter is putting the equalizers right where they need to be in team fight after team fight. And now Nisqy is going to be jumped on by Smoothie and Stixxay. That equalizer comes down here yet again. Nisqy's going to take the knockup, looking to make the outplay. He's going to buy himself a little bit more time as Blaber's taken incredibly low, taken down. Wiggily looking to grab some more damage here on a Nisqy, and the cavalry has arrived. Ruin will ruin him, and it's a double kill for Stixxay.
Licorice with no TP can't join that fight, so it's a 3 for 2 in Flowers. This is why you play the games. You have to play the games to see who's gonna win on the day, and you can see with C9 clearly experimenting a little bit with the Bard and the double melee side laners are finding it really difficult to actually engage on this team, and even though Ruin started this game 0-2-0, 5-2-2 now, 600 gold bounty, and is a force on this Jayce.
Maybe I shouldn't have dissed the NA Jayce. Maybe I spoke too soon. He's got the cleaver, he's got double lethality, more swords in inventory can only mean the man is walking the path of the serrated dirt time and time again. Let's take another look at the fight.
So the Tahm Kench comes up, and Nisqy says, you know what, I have no flash, I'm just going to fight. He actually gets a good ultimate onto Stixxay, but again, a really clutch devour by Smoothie that makes the Bard ultimate not that effective. And good lord, Ruin with the double buffs flying in through the acceleration gate with his Ghost Plate on. That is a battering ram Jayce if I've ever seen it.
45 seconds, and the Cloud Drake will be alive. CLG, thanks to a clutch smite from Wiggily, managed to stave off the soul being collected by their opponents until this point. We'll see if they can do it here again. Last time it was C9 with a 1,000 gold lead. This time it is CLG, but Pobelter,
Kench,
the man who's caught. But Blaber lets the ult go too early. They don't find the knockback, and now they're 2 teamfight ultis down. Can CLG make anything happen from this? That's the question. Wiggily hanging out in the pixel brush. Cloud9 looking for the opportunity to go in, but Vulcan is nearly killed. That piercing arrow surely would have taken him out if it found his health bar. And Cloud9 head for the hills. CLG head for the Drake pit.
That might be too much poke for C9 to deal with. The Locket Redemption on Bard is the general thing they've been trying to use to deal with the Equalizer, but Vulcan had used his Redemption earlier, just came back off cooldown, used Locket there, and CLG moving up towards this Cloud Drake.
Oh, man.
Funnily enough as well,
What a game.
they're so Equalizer heavy, the extra alt CDR on Pobelter is actually quite beneficial right now for them, even if most of the team, like the Jayce, or even the Tahm Kench, like that ultimate cooldown's not nearly as important. The Rumble one is huge, and it's pretty effective for COD right now.
Pobelter's the progenitor of the 200 IQ meme. What if this was actually the 200 IQ play? Give away the useless fire and water drakes, so you can pile 4 cloud drakes and get mega rumble ulti cooldowns.
Well, IQ's put to the test right here.
Let's see Pobelter caught out into the stasis immediately, and look at how much damage is on to Nisqy's health bar. Pobelter finally brought down. Cloud9 get there, man. It only took so many attempts to get him, and now we'll see if they can turn it into anything else. Zven is half HP, but he does have lifesteal. They head towards the Baron, and Cloud9 are starting it up. CLG,
they kill it so fast.
Without their most important character, without their best player, now have to make the call on whether or not they want to contest this. Nisqy can come around from behind. Last breath not quite ready. He's caught out, trying to defend himself a little bit longer, dashing in, slashing around, still looking to find the outplay, still looking to find the moves and the kill. Wiggily goes for the 1v1 against Licorice, but once again, he's not able to find it. Cloud9 now looking to find some more kills onto Stixxay. Smoothie ruin the rest of CLG. Everybody's running, but Cloud9 is gunning, and they are trying to find the outplays here as Vulcan slaps him right in the face with a meat and grabs the kill.
Oh, Ruin was so close to turning that fight around at the end, but it really did all start with the pick onto Pobelter and a perfect wind wall by Nisqy to stop the retaliation. Then just the whole rest of that fight is the chaos that the C9 comp needs to succeed in. The Yasuo Irelia just needs space to operate, and they actually had that as the chaos erupted around Baron. So C9 actually kind of had their first good play in the last 10 or 12 minutes.
C9 with purple on not everyone, but critically a couple members, and a massive swing in gold where CLG was up by about 1,000. Now C9 commanding a 3K gold lead over their opponents. We'll see what they can do with it, what they can push down. There's still 2 turrets left standing outside the base of CLG. Those tier 2s in mid and top lane, you just saw CLG pings come out on those, meaning they're prepared for a Cloud9 attack.
Oh man, look at these items though. On C9, Stairs Gauge, Wit's End on Licorice, he's really tanky. The damage on Nisqy, if COD doesn't instantly kill Nisqy, his Conqueror Yasuo is just going to completely dominate. And then the Aphelios is at the same place, but that's why they're going for Nisqy right away. Look at Ruin's burst.
Nisqy, can you get away from this one, buddy? Drops down the wind wall, looking to buy a little bit of extra time. Ruin's auto attack's going to be intercepted by that one. A Smoothie gobbles him up to make sure Nisqy can't find the last breath into that damage combo. And Ruin will grab the credit for shutting Nisqy down. That is one Cloud9 player out of the picture, and it means that this Baron push is going to be slowed down here. Not before they manage to claim those 2 tier 2 turrets, though. Cloud9 grabbing that in exchange for their mid laner. Still 40 seconds before Nisqy's back alive with only 1 minute left on the Baron power play. You have to think C9 won't get too much more out of this.
Okay, so Captain Flowers, we saw the Team Liquid Golden Guardians 42-minute let's only fight around Drake's game. That looked a lot like an LCK game.
Yeah.
This one's looking a lot like an LPL game, if I'm going to be completely honest here, where every team is just willing to throw down. And even that last play by C9 with Nisqy and Blaber bottom lane, the team picked up 2 turrets off of it. The Baron power play isn't amazing, but it's still decently gold positive. So we still have so much game to play.
Oh, we do.
Even after the 0-2 start, and we've talked a lot about Pobelter for his equalizers, my eyes are on Ruin. His Jayce and his melee form Jayce. What you're doing with melee form Jayce is basically you use your range W, which is the 3 really quick auto attacks, but you don't actually hit the autos. You swap in a melee form, use your buff to the skies, and that's how he's been dueling Nisqy, because then he's immune to the wind wall and still able to get a large amount of burst off because of his 3 melee kind of pre-stocked machine gun auto attacks. So really important to keep your eyes on Ruin in this next fight to see if he's the one that can deliver the killing blow onto Nisqy.
And I like the point that you made about LCK versus LPL, because the last game we were averaging less than 1 kill every 3 minutes. This game, we're averaging more than 1 kill every minute. So
the LCS has got it all, Flowers.
It's
every range of League of Legends game.
This game is more than 3 times as bloodthirsty as the previous one we got to see. Licorice tries to put the stun onto Ruin, but it is going to be intercepted by the Edge of Night Shield. Meanwhile, we got a fight breaking out on the other side of the map. Stixxay going to be gobbled up. Licorice still looking to win the 1v1 here in the top side, but Ruin's got it. Now the 4v4 is all that's left to see as Cloud9 will shred to the members of CLG. Zven's got that flamethrower and he just burns them all to a crisp. A triple kill for the AD carry from Cloud9. And Ruin, the only man who won his fight.
Flowers, I think that's game. I think the death timers are long enough. They just destroyed them. I told everyone to focus on Ruin. That's what I was focusing on. And out of nowhere, I think Zven just flamethrowered Hurricane them to death. Ruin can't stop this.
Ruin, he'll try. I mean, he's got a Guardian Angel. He got a couple of stasises out. I don't know if those were BM stasises or real stasises, but either way, Cloud9, they won themselves a team fight. In the blink of an eye, you snap your fingers, and half the players in the map disappear. Cloud9 add another win to their column.
34 minutes, 40 kills, same result. You only got to kill the Nexus for it to count. I mean, all things considered, I think CLG put up a really admirable fight. That last fight, the 4v4 in the mid lane, ended up just being disastrous, but they should be able to be pretty proud. And I think for C9, I do want to see a little bit better from them. Yes, they were 2-0 against 100 Thieves and CLG this week, but I mean, you were calling 22 minutes. I said that was too fast because I was going to say 25. 34 minutes feels a little long, and they had a lot of, discordance in the way that they were initiating these fights. So I'm glad they gave us the fun game, but I still want to see C9 come back to being clean like they were at the start of the split.
It was fun to see. CLG fought valiantly, but it was not enough to take down our #1 team. We're going to step away now here once again to set up game 3, but